Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Well, Glass Hammer is an American progressive rock band from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they formed in 1992 when multi-instrumentalists Steve Babb and Fred Schendel began to write and record Journey of the Dunadan, a concept album based on the story of Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings. Glass Hammer is progressive rock at its finest. First came Dreaming City in 2021, followed by Skallagrim, Into the Breach in 2022. Now Glass Hammer returns to the cursed realm of Andorath with part 3 of their Skallagrim trilogy at the gate, their most recent release. The album's narrative concludes the sword and sorcery-inspired tale of the thief with the screaming sword, a desperate man who lost his lover and his memory. Lead vocalist Hannah Pryor joins Steve Babb, Fred Schendel, and Aaron Raulston. Singer John Beagley and former Glass Hammer vocalist Jon Davison, now of Yes, also make guest appearances. Musically, Glass Hammer's most apparent influences are Yes, Kansas, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and to a less noticeable extent, Genesis. While Glass Hammer has, for the most part, combined those influences into a characteristic style of their own. Please welcome bassist, keyboardist, singer-songwriter, author Steve Babb and singer Hannah Pryor, a progressive rock group, Glass Hammer, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello.
Hey, Ray.
Hey.
Man.
And congratulations to Hannah for her first baby.
Thank you. Thank you.
A boy or girl?
Girl. And we're
What's her
5
name?
months in. Her name is Caroline.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yes.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful. Yeah, we've got twin grandbabies, identical twins, and then we have Ellie, another girl. So we have 3 girls and 2 boys.
Oh, wow. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, lots of girls in the family.
Yeah.
When you think of prog rock, you think the UK. A lot of people think the English. And of course, we have to admit the UK kind of created prog rock, but there are a lot of American prog rock bands. Glass Hammer, Kansas, Neil Morris, Dream Theater. Todd Rundgren, Crack the Sky, the Stickmen, the list goes on. But I am so happy to finally see a prog rock band from Tennessee. That is very cool.
Well, yeah. It just happened to be where we were. Neil's not too far from here,
Right.
in Nashville, and I think Adrian Ballou is living there. I think he did for quite a while. I think that's the case. But yeah, Chattanooga, and then like I told you earlier, Hannah's from right across the line in Georgia, so
Wow.
we're right down next to Georgia.
That's very cool. I like that. When I first saw Kansas and their first album, with the overalls and things like that, I said, man, these guys, how can these guys produce such fantastic music, prog rock music? You'd think they're a country band or something like that, and it's just amazing. I'm glad there's great musicians, and Tennessee's always had great musicians anyway, especially from Nashville.
It's a musical area. Athens, Georgia's not too far below us. That was a big deal in the 80s,
Right.
And then of course Nashville's got all kinds of music, and I did not grow up a fan of country music per se, and but we have bluegrass, we have all sorts of interesting things going on. By the time I was a teenager, we went to buy records that had nothing to do with geography. So some early influences were, and another North American band, Rush, was a big one for us. But yeah, you tend to think of England. I always think of Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have, and of course, Jon Davison was a singer in your band for a long time.
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did 3 I guess about 3.5 albums with us, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sat in on a couple of other songs with us. And then we performed with him a couple of times on Cruise to the Edge.
Right.
So, he's a super guy. He's the kind of guy, if I called him up and said, hey, want to sing a song? He's going to get, sure, man, sure. So
very cool.
Super guy.
Yeah.
And I knew probably by the end of the recording of our first album with him that he would eventually be in Yes. And I was kind of racing the clock. I'm like, they're going to grab this guy. And sure enough, they did.
Well, I'm glad they got him, because the first replacement of John Anderson, I'm a Yes fan from way back. I told Chris Squire I was really upset when they dumped John Anderson.
Yeah,
I actually told Chris Squire that. Yeah. And I've interviewed all the guys from Yes, all the original guys. Yeah. But when they had Benoit David, right, I guess. Yeah. He came from a Yes tribute band, and I wasn't too happy about that. At least John came from a progressive rock group.
But where did I find him, though?
What's that?
Where did I find Jon Davison?
Where did you? From a
Yes tribute band.
Oh, jeez. But at least he played in Glass Hammer.
He did. Yeah. He did other things too. He's a bass player. But yeah, I got to work with Jon Anderson a little bit.
Right.
And then wanted to have him do some vocals on a remix album we were doing, and I knew he would not sing my lyrics. I don't think he sings anybody's lyrics. So I knew that was not going to happen. I still wanted that style of voice. Mm-hmm. I didn't want necessarily an imitator, but I wanted, something that made me feel like Jon Anderson did,
Right, exactly.
So I looked around and I spotted Jon Davison and got in touch with him through his guitarist, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. Glass Hammer, I guess the original, you wanted to be a studio project only, right? You didn't really want to go out on the road. Is that true?
Well, I had been on the road for quite a while,
right,
with different bands in the 80s, and so had been domesticated, happily married, and had no real desire to have the usual type of band with several members, and it just seemed an easier thing to kind of be a studio group. And of course, that didn't last more than a month or so, and we went out and did a show. And very difficult stuff to play, so that's part of the reason for just kind of hanging out in the studio. Anna's been with us for almost 3 years now, and we've never been on stage.
Oh no.
It's a lot. Like I don't know how you guys would even remember everything that you play to even perform that. Like, it would blow my mind if I experienced it live.
Well, you may, but
definitely it's going to happen. It'll happen. Prague fans got to see you guys live. You know how that is. By the way, I'll be interviewing Annie Haslam this Friday, so I'll talk to her about the band, and maybe she can listen to the album. She's been around. She's a good friend. She's really cool. I like her. I got to tell you, man, the album is great. I gave it 5 stars.
Man.
Yeah, I called it Heavy Prog. I said it was breathtaking vocals, tenacious guitar licks, cinematic melody and lyrical content. It's already a classic. I said it was brilliant. It's a great album. You guys are very, very talented.
Thank you.
And I like what Steve says. Steve says, so for those who love our newer, edgier sound, they won't be disappointed, but I've brought back the pipe organ, the choirs, and the sweeping ballads. For those who missed the sounds of our early albums, I think it works, but the fans will be the ones to decide. The album's lyrics and text address not only the story, but what the characters represent to me. At the Gate is an album about hard choices, the pursuit of lost joy, and the hope of a brighter day. So you say it all right there.
Yeah. So it was important for me to kind of I like things that evolve like a movie. I like
Right.
albums to have a story, and I like them to have an arc, and I like it if the listener feels like they've been somewhere. And you can do that with an album. And this was a challenge to do this with 3. Being sword and sorcery, this was time for us to kind of go metal or flirt with it and get darker and darker as we went. But I had always promised that by the end it would have evolved, and I wanted it to be kind of like metal prog that transcended itself, if that makes any sense. So
Sure.
That's why and the pipe organs are one of the best ways to convey that sort of feeling, is have a choir and have some really ethereal stuff going on. So that's what we did. And I was, you hold your breath every time an album comes out, and you hope everybody likes it. But this thing had to end big because it's, I don't know, 3.5, 4 hours worth of music or something crazy like that. So, and I really just took each album one at a time, but still by the end of it all, it had to make sense. So I hope it did.
It's also tough. You guys have been through several singers. You had John, and of course you have your fantastic new singer, and you've accomplished, great things with the singers you've had, which is amazing. Which just shows you can pick good talent. But but you do a marvelous job on this album singing, and I'm going to talk about some of the tracks. First of all, The Years Roll By, which is a very scary thing about life. It's exactly what the title suggests. Life does roll by very, very quickly, especially when you get older. But the song got tons of great responses on YouTube, on the YouTube video. It really did. Great comments. It's a great song, and you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely does roll by a lot quicker once you start to have children, because this past year and a half has just like breezed by, but also like rolled by slow. So it definitely is a accurate representation of life. So, but yeah, that's one of my favorite songs from the past album as well.
Savage, very cool intro, cool keyboards, hard and heavy guitar licks, that heavy prog thing. I don't call it metal, because when I hear, they have a new thing now where they call it prog metal, and there's a lot of shredding, which sometimes it gets, too redundant. I don't really like it, the heavy shredding over and over and over again. You guys break it up, and it's actually kind of hard rock, Yeah,
I think it's got more in common with that. And again, like if you would have asked me 27 years ago, well, what's progressive metal? Well, I would have said Rush.
Right.
And that's not really considered under that genre, I guess, anymore. I don't know what you call it. But so there's more of a 70s thing going on, hard rock, where we'll take things like Sabbath, for instance, as an influence, or some of the modern groups that sort of fit in that category. And there's a lot of it going on right now. And then I'll do things like add a really neat ethereal synthesizer breakdown in the middle, so not expected. And I'm calling that progressive rock. It
is
not progressive metal. It's not the standard symphonic stuff like we're well known for. But we enjoyed things as musicians way more than just, we didn't just listen to Yes records growing up. I listened to Sabbath, and I listened to a million bands and pop groups and all kinds of stuff. So the fun part about it is trying to weave those influences into a prog rock concept. I don't know if it's trying to fool people or what it is, but we're, you get the idea though. It's more like have progressive elements within hard rock, I guess.
Sure. You guys have your own sound. I don't hear you really sounding like anybody, like
Thank you.
everybody says. You know,
Yeah, thank you.
I don't
Yeah,
hear those other bands. There's one song I'm going to mention later that does
sure.
sound like Rush.
That's fine. Okay, yeah.
um, Hannah, what is your background since you just joined the band a few years back? Where did you come from before that? What's your resume?
So my resume, my background is live worship.
Mm-hmm.
I work actually for a church, so that's my main venue of
Right.
singing. Musical theater, and just choral music.
Okay.
So just not this. So this has been an awesome growing experience. I've never considered myself like, rock star.
Right.
So getting to feel one and feel like one and play, like act like one is a lot of fun. I love it.
You guys, you do have hints of Christianity, but you're not a Christian band, I guess. But
no, I'm of the opinion that bands can't be saved.
Okay. But it's a good thing because that's what
in the band, and that's fine. Yeah.
That's what made Kansas.
Yeah.
Kansas definitely Christian, influences, and that's where the lyrics came from. And there are. Go ahead.
I was going to say I dabbled in that, and certainly I grew up as a church musician too.
Right.
And so did Fred, and probably just about everybody that's been in this band has done that at some point. But I tried writing straight out Christian music. And as we say in the South, the Lord just didn't bless it. It just every time I did it, it felt forced, and it seemed the best way for me to convey my worldview was to certainly not be vague, but to do it more in the style of like C.S. Lewis did with his fiction, which is if you're a Christian, you're going to know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And if you're not, maybe you'll be interested.
Yep.
But it's still, to me, I'm trying to make music that will entertain people first and foremost. And just like any professing Christian, you go about your work with a certain ethic, and there's a certain kind of a thought that's driving everything for you, and it has to come out, especially in music.
Well, I like your way better. Also, Neil Morris, I love the way he does it as well. You know,
he's been at it for a while now.
He's been at it for a while.
Came to our studio. This is the same way I found a lot of the people that have been in Glass Hammer that come through doing church projects that are because I run a recording studio, and she came in, and we were told in advance that oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this girl when you hear her sing. Oh, okay, that'd be great. Like most people that joined Glass Hammer, she probably had no idea what she was getting into. I said, "Hey, would you like to come sing a song?" And but not knowing that in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Let's get her in here and see." And she's sure. And what was it? What was that song you brought in and we tried?
It was a song by Flyleaf.
Flyleaf, right? Yeah.
Wow, Flyleaf.
I just happened to be into, like, I guess you would call it Christian rock. I don't know. There's a few bands, like not many, like them and Red. But
Flyleaf, Christian band, a Christian band. I didn't even know that.
Flyleaf is a Christian band.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
She sang that track for us, and we're like, that's the girl.
I was like, I've never gotten to do this before. Let me do this.
That is so cool.
And it was awesome.
Well, I hope you stick around. What happened to your last singer? What did she leave?
Well, Susie didn't leave, and in fact, it's kind of like the Hotel California. You don't really you check out, but you don't really leave. I don't think of her as not being with us. It's just that 500 some odd miles separate her from us.
Oh, okay.
She's busy with a family, and after many years, it just felt like a time for me, especially with these albums. That I needed somebody here that I'm working with. I want Hannah can tell you, I drive her crazy. She was here just a couple of days ago, and we just kind of go over the songs like you would with the songwriter and a singer. And I didn't get that for quite a while with Susie. So nothing went wrong at all. It's just it was time, I think. to bring it closer to home, so to speak. And Hannah,
It allows, sorry,
no,
it allows just some more creativity. Like, you know, you can, it's
Sure.
not so like I have to do it this way. There's lots of just creative expression in there that gets to come through.
A lot of bands like to change it up. You know, they change members in the band on purpose just to change it up, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
Smart.
we didn't do it with that in mind.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I mean, after 27 years,
Yeah.
you know, I want people to feel free to come and go. And because life gets in the way and you got other things to do, and they can't always be following, you know, oh my gosh, Steve's going to call me. And you know, I'm hyper focused on this stuff. So Hannah, I was real careful this time because I know she's got a baby. And
I know. Now I'm worried about Hannah.
She's like, dude, I'm in. And okay, now I put her to work for a couple of months.
Hannah, do you have good babysitters?
I do.
What's your mom and dad?
Yeah, she came with me on Friday at our last little session. Wow. And there was some babysitting done, but it may have been by Steve.
Well, and Julie
and his wife, Julie, yeah.
Well, give her an instrument.
Yeah.
My grandkids started early, you know, they were playing early. So why not?
She's got lungs.
Back to the album, North of North. I kind of got a Jan Hammer feel on that track.
Yeah, and that is a Fred Schendel creation right there.
Okay.
And I don't know if he would say Jan Hammer, but he might. Seems like there's some Hammond in that song too.
Yeah, excellent song, man. Really good tune. All Alone, heavy rocker. I like the video. You got the video of everybody rocking to the tune. How'd you pull that off?
Asked a lot of people, you know, some friends and some fans, and because I didn't, you know, I wasn't going to get the whole band together to make the video. Hannah, it was middle of the summer, and Hannah was pregnant. Very,
Very.
I thought I'm not going to have her for more than another session. So what can I do? And I thought, well, I've been wanting to do a fan reaction video.
Yeah.
These poor people, though, I got to tell you, a few of our fans, God bless them. I would say reaction video and kind of describe what I wanted, and they go okay, and they'd send me a video, and the video would be of them sitting there going. Yeah, or better yet, they would say, they would send me a video and they'd talk about it. Well, I thought it was a really good song. I'm like, no, reaction video. I have no idea what I was talking about. So a couple of them had to send their videos in more than once. Just nod your head, you know, smile a lot, and when it kicks in, bang your head, you know. So it had to end up being a little contrived, but I think they all had fun.
You know, that's so hard to do without having everybody there, like in the studio, you know? Who put that thing together?
Me.
Oh, it was you? Wow.
Yeah, I'm the video guy with my wife. She's our photographer.
Right.
Publisher, owner, writer. You
did an excellent job, man.
Road manager.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Really good job.
Thank you, man. I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, it's, I like to do video. So this is kind of fun, but you have a group that's not particularly a visual group, and I'm like,
right.
Oh my gosh, what am I going
to do? All for Love, another great tune. Who's playing? Now, first of all, that's you. Is that you singing with Hannah?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you guys mesh well together too, by the way. Yeah. Now, who plays guitar?
Probably. Okay, so Reese Boyd is playing on that song.
Reese is playing. Wow.
And we just made him, just sort of made him an official member.
Really?
I think he's 22 and has been playing on our album since 2018.
Wow.
And he just come in and usually do a couple of songs, you know, here and there. And,
right.
But he's here so much, and I've got him really busy on this new album that we're working on.
He's an incredible guitar player.
Yeah, he's one of those kid prodigies. He was out playing with the grown-ups when he was 10 or 11, I think.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
Yeah, nice guy. And he's one of those guys, he's 22, but I can say, I mean, if he feels like it's a Sabbathy kind of thing, he dials up the sounds. There's not a guitar player from our day that he's not familiar with. Knows what to do. He had something, he's like, I'm hearing kind of a frippy thing on this. And,
wow.
And then it's just happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's fripp, and that's what I like, you know. That was really good.
That's unusual, you know, to get a young guy like that into our stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh, he is. He definitely is.
Yeah, I'm glad to see
that.
Not
so much, but
Do what?
Hannah, not so much. But I did have like there's a song. What was it on? It was at the end of the breach, Skallagrim End of the Breach. It was Hyperborea, and we meant for that to sound kind of like a Rushy song, you know. And so we said, and I don't know how familiar you are with Rush, but we just had her sing it with such a vibrato, and pulled it off very well.
Yes, you did. Yeah, that's which was the song you were talking about that sounded like Rush?
It's the second of the trilogy. It was Hyperborea.
Okay.
Kind of the finale of that second album. It's not the last cut, but it's it's the last big cut.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. She does. It's amazing. You know, you guys do sound a lot like Rush on that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a bonus track, I think, right?
No, that's a big one. No, there's kind of like a fade out track called Bright Sword on that.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's actually, I don't think anybody's really picked up on it yet. That album appears on that song appears on all three albums, just in different forms.
Right.
Nobody's ever commented on it. So sometimes you can be a little too clever and nobody knows.
Let's see. The next one's Snowblind Girl. I call this one ELP meets Soundgarden meets Evanescence. And you know, I like the organ. I like your organ, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, that gives it that nice proggy touch, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I love that stuff. It's not always there for effect. It's just kind of that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Fred's a big Hammond player, and I'm doing a lot more of that now than I used to too.
Yeah. Standing at the gate of, is it Zegel?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
You're driving me crazy, man.
I know.
That's such a cool tune. You know, he's waiting at the gate. You know, I mean, the lyrics of that is really awesome, and I love the way Hannah sings this as well. You know, that's you know,
that was a tough one, Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do that live?
Please don't make me do that live.
Let's make her do that live.
It'd be a challenge. That'd be awesome. It'd be a challenge. Oh my goodness.
You got to pass the test. That's a great tune.
Thanks.
Where did you get that? The Zagazagel.
You know, the whole trilogy started turning into a book. Plug the book.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your book too.
Yeah. And so, you know, fantasy names, there's a lot of writers that will not write their book because they're too busy making their map and working out the monetary system of civilizations that don't exist. And one of the big hurdles for a lot of people are names, because they'll just, so long before I wrote the book, I sat down and just made pages of names, so that whenever I'm typing and I need a name, boom, I just
very smart
on my list, man, and I'm not going to let it stop me. So that's been kind of my thing. And that name, I made that up somewhere along the line, and it seemed like a sword and sorcery name.
Yeah,
it's, you know, some of that stuff's supposed to be a little, I wouldn't say it's tongue in cheek, but it's a nod or an homage to old books, you know, some of that silliness from
I can tell you read a lot of books.
I've read and read a lot of books. I mean, it's ridiculous. They used to call me bookman.
Yeah,
Always had a book.
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Well read. That's a great tune. You know, I love
Thank
the lyrics in that and everything. It's wonderful. In the Shadows, there's your pipe organ, right?
yeah.
You know, this is a word that hasn't been around for a long time, and now it's describing a lot of music, a lot of especially prog music, cinematic.
Yeah.
And it's true. They should have used that word a long time ago because
Yeah.
prog is cinematic, you know, if you do it right.
Yeah.
And the guitar sounds like Queen, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was Fred's contribution to that song. Yeah, that's because I did all the keyboards for that, and he played guitar on that. At least he did the Queen stuff for sure.
That track sounds like a rock opera.
Yeah,
so
thank you. Thank
Hannah
you. That
needs to
was
do that on stage.
We could pull that one off on stage.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a difficult tune to write because I really saved the last song for last. It was in bits and pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like pushing Hannah to get her vocals cut, and I'm like, well, I still don't even have the last song finished. It was just very, very important that the last song, be what it needed to be. So just several days of sitting in front of the keyboard trying to make that thing work.
Hannah, you got to start creating a wardrobe of what you're going to wear on stage with these songs,
I know, right? I bring like several outfits if we do like a video or something.
Yes.
I'm like, tell me what would work and what wouldn't. Not my norm, but I love it.
Because the visual effect has got to be boom. It's got to be tremendous with these songs, man. It really
I kind
does.
of missed I had red hair for just a minute, and I feel like that worked pretty well. So I kind of missed that.
Yeah,
just part of the look.
Sure. Well, just watch Game of Thrones a couple times, and you'll get some ideas. Were you hooked on Game of Thrones like everybody else? I was. I
didn't, but you
No?
guys, right? Steve?
I was.
Yes, I did. It was Hannah, you were good. She was being a good church girl, I guess.
Right.
And didn't watch it maybe.
Yeah.
I had people from a church insist that I watch it. My wife and I had watched the first episode a long time ago. I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, no, you gotta. And yeah, so Julie and I have now watched it, I think 3 times.
Yeah. Once you get past the first season, I think.
Oh yeah.
Just a second. Then it's all just blood and guts.
I'm such a mockumentary girl. Like that's what I like to watch. But,
right.
And I never venture out into other things.
What's a good movie for you?
A good movie for me?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a rom-com girl. Like
right.
Proposal all the way. Anything with oh my goodness, I'm
with
so
a good
sorry.
ending. Yeah.
Anything, yes, with a good end. 80s rom-coms, the best. Molly Ringwald, whatever.
I watch a lot of those with my wife. I call them mommy movies.
Make the wife happy.
Make the wife happy. Yeah, I like them too. I do like them.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you have It's Love. Beautiful piano.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's the big cut. That's the one with the Queen guitar, and that's the big one.
Right. The Queen guitars. It's Hannah's singing. Oh my God. I want to say it's haunting. It was incredible. That she really shines on that track. And I just hope she stays with you for a while. She's such a great singer. You are a wonderful, wonderful singer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice to get to use different facets of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Not just doing the belty,
right,
but also getting to use a lot of the falsetto, airy tones that I don't use a lot anymore. So I really enjoy that part.
Who are some of your favorite singers, female singers?
You put me on the spot. I'm a huge fan of Heart. So anything Heart. I had a cassette tape that I would put in my first car and listen to them all the time. Heart's Greatest Hits. Who else? This is gonna sound silly, but as far as like falsetto tones and stuff, Ariana Grande, I really enjoy.
Yeah,
she's a phenomenal vocalist.
She's
so
good.
I enjoy listening to her, and of course, you know, I'm a Swiftie, so Taylor Swift all the time.
Yeah. Oh, a Swiftie.
I'm a Swiftie, yeah. You can put that in writing.
Hannah is a Swiftie.
I just embarrassed Steve, I'm sure. He's like, oh God.
No. It's fine. We accept anything.
You know, some of the greatest vocalists do come from church choir, you know. And I talked to Ian Gillan, Deep Purple. He came from a church choir as well. And
I feel like you learn so much singing in church, just like connecting with what you're singing and making people believe it. You know, like I feel like that is a huge part in connecting with your audience.
Yeah. And Elvis, I mean, his favorite singing was gospel. So, you know, he was a big gospel fan, big time. And he was good at it too. He was really good at it.
Think about Yes and prog rock and how choral a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff is.
Yep.
You know, I grew up a church musician, like I said, and then suddenly I hear a band that has pipe organs and it sounds like angels are singing, and I'm like, that's my stuff right there, you know.
You should see some of the churches around here, man. They're like concerts. They're like stadiums now.
Oh yeah.
And the bands that perform there are like, you know, what is that, Steely Dan? You know, great musicians. I swear they're playing prog music in church. It's unbelievable. I like it though, because it's not the traditional, you know, you get out of that traditional thing for a while.
I like all of it though. Like I think using it throughout the years and incorporating it, it really makes it special for multi-generational.
Right.
You know,
I'm Catholic and we're very regimented.
Yeah.
And sometimes you like to break out of that. You know, I hang out with the Methodists and, you know, the non-denominational, you know, so I bounce around a little bit all over the place to just see what those guys are doing, you know. Yeah. What about David and Goliath, the musical? What is that all about?
Wow, that was let's see where to begin and how to end it really quick.
I've not heard this.
No, but you will next time you're here. We were, let's put it this way. I was led to believe there was a deal
right
for that album. And so I spent many months on it. And there was not a deal on that album. And that is not considered Glass Hammer. And we do our best to erase it from... Actually, I mean, a lot of people in Glass Hammer were involved in it. It was just the people that were, I guess, handling the business end of that. Right. What I refer to as Nash Vegas were not particularly forthcoming in all the details. And suffice to say, it was turned out to be a negative experience. There's some good music on it. It's not...
Was this was it a musical? Like
it was like a kid's musical.
Really?
And it had some fairly serious stuff in it. I mean, it got big like Glass Hammer stuff does, but so there's acting in it. We had dialogue. Susie's on it. Brad Marler, the guy that sang Chronometry with us. All sorts of people showed up on that. But yeah, we were kind of being, I'd say, misled. It did end up pulling us into some offices in Nashville where they tried to get Fred and I to head up a worship division and like start to be their worship writers when that was first taken off. And we just, I'm not into that stuff.
Right.
As a writer at all.
Right.
And it was just not a good experience. My limited experience within the Christian music industry was, I didn't see a lot of anything Christian about it.
Oh,
really.
wow.
Yeah. So we dropped the musicals and made another album.
Is there some
extract right after that? Yeah.
Is there some place where you can actually see it, or
I
is
hope
there?
not. I really do. I really do. It's
Really?
I think about it every now and then, but
Yeah.
usually there's a lot of bad surrounding it. Just
Yeah. Looks like you worked hard on that project, though.
worked very hard on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's not on YouTube. You don't think it's on YouTube anywhere?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I still might look for it.
Yeah.
All right. On a positive note, let's talk about your book. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see.
Hey, it's not a rock band if there's not something negative. And the most negative stuff we can come up with is we did a musical once. That's
let's see. Talk about the book. What it was it released last year?
Yeah, last March.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's again, is it Skallagrim?
Yeah, Skallagrim in the Vales of Pagarna. So there's another word for you.
Okay.
So yeah, I wanted the first Skallagrim album, which was Dreaming City. I wanted it to look as if it was maybe a band from the 70s that was inspired by some obscure paperback they found.
Right.
And very meta. And people started asking about the book. Where is this book? And it's like it doesn't exist. But all about the same time I began to think, no, I'm actually going to write this. And just like what happened to a lot of people when COVID happened and the lockdown happened,
right? I
suddenly had 6 weeks of no work, and I decided I'll write it. And 6 or 7 months later, I finally had it written, and it's going to be a series. I'm on 80,000 words into the second part, and it's been received very well. Sort of a sword and sorcery character, but thrown into an epic fantasy world, if that makes sense. Sword and sorcery is usually about a loner that's up against evil sorcerers and wizards, but usually it's very focused on action, like Conan, some of the things, and it doesn't get a lot into world building. And it's not like Lord of the Rings, in other words.
Right.
My thing is a little like smashing the two together. Kind of Elric. I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Moorcock's books. Elric, kind of something like that, but more in a Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings type setting, with some sprinkles of Lovecraft here and there, just for a horror element.
Do you enjoy writing?
Man, do I enjoy that.
See, that's a lot of famous writers don't like writing.
I love it. I've been doing these concept albums for years.
Yeah.
And it's always been this desire to tell stories. And some stories you just can't do with music. You just need to, and it was something I'd always wanted to try. Yeah. And I did it, and people read it, and they didn't go, oh my God, what's happened to him? What's my first fear was people were going to say, poor old Steve, he thinks he's a writer.
You
but
look
they
like
didn't, and they liked it, and I heard good things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this works. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But it's one of those things, if nobody read it, I'd still do it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you're supposed to write for the enjoyment, not to make money.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle
for the money.
Keeping my mind occupied on how to make a paragraph work,
right,
with better words. I love that stuff.
Yeah,
always like that stuff.
I'm a writer too. I've written 3 books.
Oh, right.
And I love it. I'm trying to sell my first book. It's about growing up in the family business in DC.
Okay.
as a comedy, a TV sitcom. So I'm trying to sell that right now.
That's awesome.
And you should do the same.
I think I will. Yeah.
You should do the same. I use there's a company called Stage 32. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working with those guys, and I just entered a contest for comedy, like sitcom type stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. So your book, I read this, it might be good description. You can tell me. It says, and those monsters saw not a young man with a sword, but a scarred and screaming horror with the rising red doom of the sun at his back and a hellishly shrieking, flashing living sword in his hands.
Yeah, my first book that was heavy on adjectives. Somebody referred to it as Baroque, and I'm like,
you're a good writer.
Good thing. It's a good thing, because that's what I intended. I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a Lovecraftian feel to some archaic word choices and even spelling, the way I spell certain words,
right,
to kind of pull you into the book and kind of put you under a spell, so that you're in a different world. But yeah, so you gotta. Some of it's written kind of with a modern edge to it, and then some of it floats very purposefully into heavy prose. And it's, again, if you read it, you'll understand the reasoning behind it. It's supposed to pull you kind of in and out of like a dream, like just into kind of a higher place. I've got a plan for the whole series. It's sort of based on all 3 albums, but a completely different ending. The character of Skallagrim on the albums is a little more like a Conan guy versus this guy. He's just a scared kid in my book. He's 22, I think, and just out of his element and horrified at what he sees. But he's got the screaming sword that fell from the sky, and that's his thing. So he's got to find his girl. That's what it's all about.
I'm picturing this already as a movie.
Actually, boy, wouldn't that be great?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
definitely.
And then we're working on a new album.
Right.
Well, I'll announce the name of it.
Yeah.
Anna doesn't even know. I think we haven't had a vote on this around here yet, but it's going to be called Arise, Arise.
Okay. When do you see that's going to be released? When do you
either late summer or early fall.
Okay. All right.
We're moving along, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
The guitar done, completely done, probably Monday, and then I'm only waiting on this girl to learn all the songs and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's going to take the lead on stage.
Yeah. With the costume.
Touring the world.
Oh yeah.
She's busy.
Baby strapped to her.
Tell you one thing, you got a great baby. I haven't heard a peep out of the baby.
Have you not? Oh
no. No. Are you kidding me? She's wonderful.
She's a great baby.
Yeah, that's amazing. How old is she now?
She'll be 5 months next week.
5 months. Yeah. That's great. Wow.
She's making our life fun, that's for sure. We love it.
Yep. Have 5 more.
Oh, yeah.
The more the merrier. We need more singers and musicians, you know what I mean, for the future.
So her dad, he plays keyboard and guitar, and he also sings. So hopefully she'll end up doing something like that.
Musical family.
I tell people, I'm like, she's probably going to want to do sports, because I'm like not into that at all.
Right. That's okay. Scholarship.
That'll be fine. Yeah.
That's awesome. I also like Into the Breach. That's an
the song or
that's incredible, okay, here we go again. Anthem to Andorath.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my faves.
Yes.
Probably the first one I worked on.
First one I wrote.
First one. Yeah, first one.
Incredible. Great album. You got a lot of good reviews from that as well.
Yeah, we did that. I wrote that song well before the rest of the album.
Right.
Because I think I had it in my mind. Yeah, we made that an NFT.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, we're going to be the first prog rock band with an NFT. And everybody's like, so what? So I thought, well, we'll finish this song and get it out, and it wasn't her audition, because I already knew I wanted her to sing with us, but it was definitely the first song where
feeling the
let's see how
waters.
this works. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, the proof is there. She did an awesome job with it, and I got to sing with her. And she knows, she's heard my reference tracks. She knows I'm not a good singer, but
That's not true.
we can make me blend in. That'd be a whole study sometime, is just to listen to our reference demo tracks for singers, because we don't bother to try to make it sound good.
Well, sometimes I'll hear it and I'll be like, I feel like you should keep that in there. Like,
thank you.
Feels really.
Yeah. But yeah, that was her first song, a Glass Hammer song, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Hyperborea was the bonus track. It was The Mind of Erling Hizzard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was an electronic thing I did that went out. Like if you do pre-orders, I try to, and it's digital. Yeah, I try to do instead of autographing, I try to do like an extra track.
The bonus track. A lot of people do bonus tracks now.
Yeah, that's not. I like to do that kind of Tangerine Dream kind of.
Right. Another good band.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of different members in and out as well. Yeah. You know, Into the Breach, very 60s psychedelic, right? On that track.
I think, is that the one that's like that? I guess it is.
It sounded psychedelic. I mean, I loved it. And the bass playing on Long Ago, like Chris Squire, a little bit of Chris Squire.
From an older album.
Yeah. I can hear some Chris Squire influences.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing Geddy Lee and Chris. That was my two bass players that I learned.
Yeah.
And really, probably about it. Yeah.
Did you see Yes during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when Geddy Lee played?
I did. Yeah.
He should have been in that band, right?
Yeah.
He was perfect for Yes.
Yeah. But Squire, and they're, I mean, I think Geddy Lee had sort of looked up to Squire.
Yeah.
When he was, when Rush was, pre-Rush, I guess. And Squire, man, he's just, his style is, there's nothing like it. Well, there's nothing like either one of them, but I always love how Squire is up on the neck. It's almost more of a cello. It's playing off the beat frequently and just drives that band. One of my favorite early albums was Yes Shows, the second big live album, and I think he mixed it or he had something to do with it, so the bass is just up. And I used to sit and play along with that record a lot. So when I was learning bass, I had my Yes albums and all my Rush albums, and that's what I did. I have tendonitis in my left hand, so there's a lot of things I couldn't do, like progressive metal, for instance.
The shredding.
I could never have done that, but I did try to learn how to do, more melodic stuff, like Chris and like some of Geddy stuff.
One of my favorite albums of all time was Fish Out of Water, the Chris Squire. That was incredible.
Surprised people don't talk about it more. And I'll pull it out every now and then and just marvel at it.
Right. I can never get tired of that album. I told Chris, I said, why don't you make a Fish Out of Water too? And he just laughed. Yeah. He was kind of a funny guy too. And it's, I talked to Rick Wakeman, and you should hear all the stories he has.
That's the funny guy.
He's a real comedian, that guy. You actually had some really good players as guests on your show. John Anderson, of course. Arian Lucasen, who I've had on the show recently. He's a cool guy. Rich Williams from Kansas, I've had on the show. David Ragsdale, of course, from Kansas. Rob Reed of Magenta.
Yeah.
And of course, Randy Jackson of Zebra. You've had some
that was a big one for me. I was a big Zebra fan.
Really?
Oh yeah. We were on the road, and I got to tell him this, which was cool. When I was probably 26, and we were playing metal, and we got to open for them in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, cool.
So I got to meet him then, and then I had 3.5. I guess we had it in the deck nonstop. It would either be that or the White Snake album, just nonstop on the road. So all those songs from 3.5 were embedded in my skull, and my wife's got it now. She still plays it and frequently, so I still hear it. so I got to meet him on Cruise to the Edge, and he was the nicest guy, and was showing me some gadgets he was inventing, and I'm hitting this guy up. I'm gonna put him on a glass hammer album, and he was sure. He sings on it and plays some guitar on it. It's incredible. But they're all great.
I love collaborations. Did you talk to Steve Hackett on the cruise?
No, I frankly, when I do those things, I just kind of go. I don't mingle like that too much. I did the last night. They'll throw a big rock star party.
Yeah,
is really super cool.
Yeah,
and I got to hang out with some pretty heavy duty guys. Guy from Hocus Pocus.
Oh, the singer.
He was playing the piano like a lounge guy all night. It was a famous stick player. My mind's gone.
2011.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Parks and stuff down next to me, and we hang out with some of the guys from Adrian Ballew's band, and got to hang out with Tony for a while, and just that kind of stuff. But during the course of the shows, I'm like, just looking over the side of the boat, just enjoying the sound.
Yeah. Everybody loves that cruise. They really do.
I used to try to meet people like that, and it got to a point where I just kind of feel silly when I do. So
your concept album is Perilous, right? Is that still one of your favorite albums?
Yeah, that one. Well, lots of concept albums, but that one in particular was written during a friend of mine was diagnosed. He had terminal cancer.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I was pretty much one of his last friends from back in the day, and so he and I hung out a lot at that point, and I got to really be close to him again, and just kind of help him through some of it, just as a friend, So that sort of inspired that. It's kind of a darker. A lot of our stuff's dark, but that was
right.
Kind of
A lot of your stuff is dark. Good Christian stuff.
Well, I've told people before, if you look at the Bible,
I know it's very dark.
I mean, it's not that it's not the most hopeful thing in the world. It's good news for man, but it covers everything.
It'll scare the crap out of you.
Darkness can be used in literature to make a point. Usually about something that isn't dark, and that's a lot of our albums were more about trying to get through the darkness and out the other side. A reoccurring theme in Class Hammer albums are about the journey to get home, like a Ulysses kind of
right
thing. And in my mind, home that I'm talking about on those albums is always heaven. It's like the things in this earth that you kind of attach yourself to, or you're nostalgic about.
Yep. True.
Really, they're just a mirror to me of something greater and something far beyond this world. And we spend all of our time searching the earth for things that literally aren't here. So they must be somewhere else. And that's my whole thing. And no matter how I try to not write an album about that, it always comes to that. That's always been my thing.
I just had Mark Farner on the show.
Yeah.
Brother Mark, who's a good Christian as well.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I asked him how he deals with getting old. How do you deal with getting old? Because it freaks me out. I'm actually 64, and my wife is like 4 years older than me. So I'm starting to get freaked out a little bit. You know what I mean?
If you're a Christian guy, so you know how the story ends.
I know.
So
I feel like I'm being pushed.
Well, I mean, I definitely at a certain point. This is funny to not just throw this back at Hannah, but I've got. How old are you now, Hannah?
26.
26.
Oh my gosh!
So she's singing lyrics about written by this old guy, that's trying to convey all these kind of last minute desperate kind of
Right.
And I'm like, how can I get that 26-year-old, but she's doing a great job with it. But yeah, there's a definite change that happens at a certain point where you start, oh my gosh, there's way more back behind me than there's ever going to be out front. And
That's right.
So many of our old friends are gone.
Yeah, a lot.
Everybody's just gone. And
family.
And if you're an artist, it's got a way on your mind, and it has to come out in your music. So yeah, I mean, I write some melancholy stuff about growing old, but I hope I'll do it gracefully. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Trying not to limp around. I limp around the house now with, aches and pains.
That we cannot help. It just comes. Mark Varner says he doesn't dwell on the negative, like especially on like bills and things like that. A lot of people dwell on that.
On what?
Bills and
bills, yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't dwell on all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he lives a really healthy life. He's got a big garden. They eat off their garden,
Yeah. That's cool.
And actually he had a heart episode and he almost passed away. So
well, he's thinking a lot different now. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've not had any close calls yet. I've been reasonably good health.
I have.
But so many of my friends, my old bandmates and all, they're just gone.
I know.
And every time it happens, and there's just about nobody left. But there's been a couple recently that have just hit me kind of hard and had me thinking, wait a minute here.
Yep.
Wow, this is really happening. So just kind of, you just want to grab what you got of life and make the most of it.
Yeah. I got a kick out of Hannah because when I saw your photos with the band, you got your long hair and you're very cool and very pretty and beautiful and slick, and now you look like a mom. You got your hair up and
got the mom hair.
Got the mommy look now. So funny.
I was thinking that as I logged on. I was like, I have earrings in and I'm wearing a clean shirt, but
oh, wait a minute. There's a little spit up right here now. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll do a photo shoot this summer and she'll look like a
I'll get all cooled back up.
That's right. Start picking your outfits for the live concert. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll put on the jewel. I'll get my stuff out. I still do my eyeliner for a photo.
Oh, do you really?
I got over that. Yeah, that's been going on since the '80s. So
it's funny how you transform on stage. Even you look very mystical, very
Good.
Yeah.
Very
serious.
I knew people that would go on stage and they're so cocky, and they'd walk off. This was one guy in particular I can remember. He'd walk off stage, the exact same guy, just a cocky jerk. Like, man, leave it up there.
Right.
So being on stage, especially in a prog rock band, there's only so much you're permitted to do. You kind of stand on don't run around. I got criticized once because I was doing little twirls on stage. And they're like, he's up there twirling around like a rock star. I'm like, I'm sorry. So yeah, but I like when that bass is on, especially our drummer Aaron Raulston. He's back behind me, and I can hear that bass, or I step on one of those Taurus pedals. That's all it takes. Like the easiest thing in the world. Anybody could step on a Taurus pedal, but when you do, man, you can feel it out in the front. It is, what it sounds like.
Oh yeah,
rumbling, and you sort of feel like a god with a little G.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, here's your final question. I ask everybody this question. I get some really interesting answers. Each one of you have to answer this question, okay? Sure. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, my favorite movie, to perform or collaborate, my favorite movie, Field of Dreams, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
You need to think, Anna. Anybody past or present?
Well, you can say Flyleaf. That's all right.
That would be pretty cool.
Well, this can be rock or it can be
anything. Could be Beethoven, Bach.
Or any genre, really. So,
any genre, yeah.
Well, this is going to be out of left field. Oh, well, no, I'll keep it within the realm of music. It would have to be the guys from Rush.
The guys from Rush. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd have to be the guys from Rush. Yeah, that'd be the ones. I got to work with John Anderson for a little bit, so getting to hang out with the guys from Rush would be great.
Do you know Jeff Berlin, bass player?
I think we've talked online once.
Have you?
I know who he is. And he said something good about me, and I'm like,
that's good. If he said something good about you, wow.
I think it was them. Sorry, Jeff, if it wasn't.
I've had Jeff on many times. He's a good guy too, and a lot of people considering him as one of the greatest bass players in the world too. Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Hannah.
All right. So I forgot to mention this earlier, but I come from orchestra background as well. I played the French horn.
Oh, wow.
In high school and college.
Cool.
And so I'd have to say John Williams, because that would be the awesomest thing ever. He could write a mad French horn part. So him, or I guess Michael Giacchino, he'd be cool too.
Yeah. Good answers. I don't get those. Paul McCartney's always the first, answer I always get. Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Well, Paul McCartney.
I liked Rush's first two albums. I like the Fly By Night. That was a great album. I actually saw that concert, the Fly By Night show.
Yeah.
They were backing up Kiss at a very small place. It was like 1,000 seats.
Oh, wow.
It was Kiss and Rush, and I think tickets were like $6 or something like that,
Yeah, I think Farewell to Kings was my first concert with them. And then and I own Fly By Night was the first album I had.
Right.
Yeah. And then I stayed with them like as an avid buyer.
Right.
The Spirit of the Radio, somewhere around Signals. I drifted away during the keyboard Rush era, but have been a fan and admirer the whole time. Just can't. And now I've seen their beer commercials. Have you seen their beer commercials? Oh my goodness! They actually sell beer. It's
a lot of these guys, they have their own wine.
Yeah, they're funny people.
Yeah. I hope Geddy Lee does more. Things.
I hope that they go play some more. I do. I hope that they do. But.
You think they will? It kind of retired young, I guess because, the drummer's gone, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they've showed up, and set in with some people.
Yeah.
It could lead to something.
Yeah.
They were the ones that wanted to tour anyway, and Neil
right.
didn't particularly. So, we may see him again. I didn't see the last tour and regretted it. I have a son, he's 21 now. I could see him about 14 or 15. They toured and I almost took him.
Yeah. Ticket prices are ridiculous nowadays, though. Oh my God. $300, $400, I don't pay for tickets anymore because, I promote them and I get free tickets.
Do you promote Taylor Swift?
No. I'm not a big fan. To be honest with you.
You said ridiculous at like $300, $400.
Why is she selling out stadiums? I don't understand that.
Anna,
I grew up in the era. I grew up in the era of Carole King and Carly Simon. You know what I mean? I thought they were great.
Absolutely.
But
she just puts on a good show. She puts on a fantastic show.
Really?
I say, even if you hate her, go to a concert and just check it out.
Yeah, I do like Pink.
Great. Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll be Swifties.
What Pink does is amazing. With the acrobats, and it's amazing what she does. And Ariana Grande, I do agree with you on that. Have you seen her do her impressions of other singers?
Oh, yes.
She's amazing.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Very talented.
She's really amazing. Well, guys, and did I miss anything? I mean, you got the new album coming.
Yep, working hard on that. I think that's it. Tell those people to go to glasshammer.com and buy some high-res downloads or buy some albums.
World tour for Hannah.
Yep.
The baby's going to be on stage with her. That's okay.
With the baby.
She has been locked in watching.
She's incredible. What a fantastic baby you got there. It's amazing. I want to say, purchase the latest release by Glass Hammer entitled At the Gate. And there it is. You can go to glasshammer.com, the official store, or amazon.com as well. Probably make more money on your website. I know how that is as an author. Amazon, I get that much.
Yeah.
You can also purchase Steve Babb's book, Skallagrim. Am I saying that right? There it is. In the values
The
of
veils.
Pakarna.
In the veils.
You're killing me, Smalls. Book 1, and that's available at Amazon.com.
Right.
More information about Glass Hammer, go to their official website, www.glasshammer.com. You guys are on Twitter, Facebook. You have a Steve Babb author website, which I like. Whoever did that website did a great job, by the way.
Guy does all of our album covers.
Yeah. Very. God, I'm losing it now. The Roger Dean, he did one of your album covers, right?
He absolutely did. Isn't that great? Yeah.
Yeah, and now his daughter's doing album covers as well.
Yeah. I met her a few years ago. Yeah.
Get her to do the next album cover.
Maybe so. Yeah.
That'll be cool. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. Lots of luck to you guys. 5 stars on the album. I love it. Keep up the great work. Take care of that baby. I know you will.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye. God bless.